Hi, welcome to Grey Area. My name is Karen, and today we have American DJ and producer Doc Brown. Originally from Florida, he is a legend in the world of tech house and no stranger to the Beatport charts. A regular at BPM, EDC, and Groove Cruise, as well as having recently launched his own label, Unlearn Records, during the pandemic. We're really blessed to have him today, so welcome.
Thanks for having me. Quite an introduction. I really appreciate it.
Cool.
Enjoy being here.
Great. So, well, let's start at the beginnings. So I'm interested in what was your relationship with music as you were growing up? Did you play any instruments? Maybe your parents? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so when I was really little, my parents were really interested in getting me to explore a bunch of different things. They put me on piano lessons when I was a lot younger. It didn't really take. I didn't really, whatever it was, I just didn't really feel it. I did it for maybe a year or two, but then eventually just kind of faded away. And then in later grade school, I got a guitar as a gift, and that was it for me. Once I got the guitar, I actually went back, I relearned the piano. It just really got me in tune with music. I listened to a lot of rock music at that time, so I think maybe having that connection with music that I listened to and then being able to play it maybe made the connection for me. I'm not sure. But after I learned guitar, that was it. It was music all the time. I mean, I would sit on the couch with the guitar all day long. I mean, my parents probably drove my parents nuts, but so I did that. And I was in a band in high school, and I really enjoyed playing with other people. And then it came time to, what am I going to do? Am I going to go to college? Some of my bandmates had intimated that maybe I shouldn't go to college, continue with them with the band, but I did some research, and I decided that this is my crazy thought back when I was in high school. I said, I want to be around music. I love music. This is what I want to make my life's work to be. But the idea of being an actual outright musician is a little risky. Maybe I'm not really sure about that. So I said, okay, well, how can I learn about the music business and then be able to have a job where, all the stuff that, people talk about, like having health insurance and a regular paycheck and like all those kind of things that are kind of important, and still be able to do music. So I studied some different programs at different universities here in the States for that kind of thing. I ended up settling on the University of Miami. I sort of crash course learning classical guitar because in college there's really only two ways you can go. It's jazz, classical. They don't have rock band school at the University of Miami. So I did classical guitar. I managed to kind of fake my way into the interview and get accepted. And then I did my University of Miami, graduated with a BM, went on to work for a record label, and then eventually some other stuff in the music industry before eventually I started. I'd always been DJing. I had gotten sort of into production a little bit. And then I won a couple contests, Discovery Project to play at EDC, DJ contest to play on Groove Cruise. I entered a production contest that was with Stereo Productions, and I didn't win that one, but I placed top 10. And I thought to myself, well, I mean, why not just give it a shot, right? So that was 10 years ago. So here we are now. And it's kind of funny how I think back about how in high school I wanted to avoid being a musician with the safety net of having it. And here we are full circle all the way back around. And I love it. I mean, this is so much more fulfilling to me than being on the other side of being able to create things and make that connection with people. So that's sort of the long winding road of about how I ended up where I'm at now.
Definitely. I mean, it's interesting how I think it's quite a common theme that you kind of reject what your parents give you initially and then somehow find your way back to it. So
yeah, what's funny though? I think that if I would have gone the musician route at the time, I don't think I would have been able to handle it as well as I do now. I think having a little bit more maturity and a little bit more sense of who I am as a person. I don't know if I would have been set up for success if I would have just jumped into it when I was a lot younger, having the industry experience, kind of knowing who I am, being more comfortable with all of that kind of has given me a little bit better base this time around. So, I mean, who knows what would happen? I always think to myself, what would have happened if I wouldn't have, but things are going great and I'm really blessed to be in the position that I'm at. So no complaints.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's a very inspiring story to so many countless people that want to do that in high school. So
I
great.
honestly, it's a big thing for me. I really try to tell people to follow their dreams and don't get trapped in this sort of vision of what other people might have for you to do with your life. A lot of people have opinions on what you should do with your life, but it is your life. And if you want to go out there and do whatever it is you want to do, we live in a world where that's possible if you put the effort in and you really show up every day and it's your passion. Um, there's success out there to be had if you want to go find it. So you don't have to fall in the trap of feeling like I have to do this or I have to do that. I think so much more so than even when I was growing up. So I feel like getting that message out there is really important, to me, to be able to relay that to people. You can go out and do this if you want to do it. You really can. So and that's important.
Yeah, actually, that really resonates with me. I mean, I'm a recent grad as well, and I've really been feeling that pressure. So super inspiring.
It is. I mean, it's tough, and you do have a lot of external pressures, whether it's from friends or family or whoever, that say, "Oh, well, to be successful, this is what you need to do," or "Oh, don't do the music thing. You're never going to make any money in that." And well, I will say, it is a difficult path if you want to try to make money in music. It is possible, and if it is your passion, like, why waste your life doing something that you really are uninspired doing, um, when it is possible to go out there and do stuff that can really move you day in and day out. I mean, that's how you're going to get the best work out of yourself, no matter what it is you do, whatever it is that you're into. The best people in that field, anywhere you go, are people that have a real passion for it. So following a passion is a real strong thing that I try to relay to people a lot. So
Nice, definitely. I love that.
mhm,
And yeah, so you mentioned learning, sort of studying music in Miami.
mhm.
Do you think that, I mean, did growing up in, or I guess more than growing up, spending time at that crucial point in Miami influence your love of dance music at all? Like, do you think that it's influenced? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I to be honest with you, I came to Miami in the mid 90s, and prior to that, I had not really ever had any exposure to dance music. So I had I didn't really know anything about it at that time. South Beach was like really blowing up, had a lot of like crazy clubs, a lot of European influence. And it was really my first exposure to dance music. I mean, I think, I don't know if it was the very first club I ever went to, but one of the very first clubs I ever went to was Liquid in Miami Beach. And I mean, lasers and lights and people dressed crazy. And like, I mean, I was just like, what is this? Right. And I really enjoyed it. So that's what inspired my passion to sort of like get into that music. And it started with just collecting the music, like just to listen to it, right? And then from there it's like, okay, well, you can collect it, and then the way that you share that with other people is to perform it and play those records out. And that's kind of how I got into it. I've always been the person in my group of friends that always like has the music, oh, what are we going to listen to? Oh, put on something. No, you're the guy, like, right, even whether it was dance music or whatever. So it kind of just came naturally to me, that the whole DJing aspect of finding, because that's what dance music is all about, right? I mean, it's finding new music and sharing it with people. So
Track selection, definitely.
mhm.
And do you think so? That's kind of the point at which you transition kind of from, I guess you were in a band in high school and like loving rock, I guess, and doing
Mhm.
guitar. And so would you say that that was the point that you transitioned to started DJing as well?
Well, yeah. So basically, with my first paycheck out of college from my safe music industry job, I bought two 1200s and a Vestax PMC 07 Pro, and I would spend a lot of my money in the record shops, Groove Man there on Miami Beach, and just sifting through records. It's kind of a different time, right? You go into the record shops and you would look through the records, and they'd have the turntables there. You go over, you get to listen to them before you bought them, so you could kind of just go through all the new music and then go walk up to the front with a stack, and then make sure the guy wasn't holding out on you, had some stuff behind there that he was saving for his best people, and collect the records and have them play them. But at that time, I was still only doing it as a hobbyist because I was working in the industry. I eventually ended up moving to New York, and I lived in New York for a while, still working in the music industry. And I honestly kind of fallen out of dance music for a little bit, and we were doing some promo records for DFA, so James Murphy, LCD Sound System, Juan McLean, The Rapture, and it was sort of like this thing where it crossed the rock and the dance, and it kind of like sucked me back into it. And then that was around the time when I really got into DJing and actually playing out in places where it was public and that kind of thing. And it just, just kind of went from there, I think. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Amazing. I mean, it sounds like you had really good contacts from your job as well, and like really good exposure at the time. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting. So, when I ended up moving back down to Miami, I kind of had to, with the idea of me wanting to go and play out and stuff. It wasn't like it's just like, okay, well, I want to DJ. Well, okay, well, who's going to book you to play whatever? So actually, the very first things that I did was throwing some of my own parties. Starting out getting a club to say, come on in, and some nights having like 4 people show up, and then other nights having like a really good party. And so I started doing that. That's kind of how I started to do it. And then from there, after winning that contest, getting to play at places like EDC and Groove Cruise, you get a chance to network with other artists, which is pretty big. And that really kind of starts building your connection tree and like that. So, but I did really feel like building everything from the ground up when I started there. I mean, I still feel like I'm building everything from the ground up every day. So
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It sounds, I mean, so you've been DJing professionally for over 10 years now?
yeah,
Yeah.
probably around then. Yeah, around that.
Uh-huh. And producing, from what I can tell, for about half of that, correct?
I would say somewhere between. So it's interesting, right? Because what do you say is producing? Because I did make tracks, but maybe I never released them, or it
Yeah.
was just some silly mashup or whatever. But yeah, releasing like commercial stuff. Yeah, I think somewhere between 6, 7 years, something like that. So, but it's really only been honestly in the past like maybe like 4 or 5 years where I've started to really hit those labels that you really want to be on, and you see DJ support on it from the big DJs in the world and all that kind of stuff. Where I think it was I think maybe getting a track signed to Stereo was kind of really the first one where it was like, oh, like this is like actually like a big deal. Because obviously there's a tons of labels out there. I mean, anybody can just put music out, but being able to be behind a label that was really supportive, had a plan for the release, was able to put it in the right people's hands. And so yeah, probably like, I don't know, last 4 or 5 years probably has been where it feels way more professional, right? So
I mean, that's kind of answered where I was going with this as well. Kind of like influential points that kind of turned your career around as a producer, I think. I mean,
yeah, that was a big one for me. So it was a demo, and it actually hadn't been sent to Choose by me. It had been sent to him by somebody else, and somehow or another it ended up in his folder of tracks to play. And they played it at an Elro party in Peru, which ended up becoming a radio show. And I used to listen to the Stereo radio show all the time. So I'm sitting there on the couch with my girlfriend next to me. I got my headphones on and I'm like listening to the radio show, and I go, wait a minute, like, is this am I hearing this right? Like, yeah, this is my song. They played it. And immediately, had reached out to Choose and whatever. And it's funny because he had said if he had known that it was an unreleased demo, he probably wouldn't have included it in the radio show because with IDs and stuff, you don't really want to be, whatever, but he did. And so within like a week, the deal was worked out, and it came out within like 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. And it was kind of a whirlwind type of a thing, but it was really cool because obviously I had huge respect for Chus and Ceballos. Their sets on the Space Terrace are pretty legendary. We used to go see them basically every chance we get down here. So having someone like that, play the music and get behind it and invite me to play on a Stereo party, and then all that stuff, I mean, was just really, really, really awesome. I mean, it's very rewarding. I know we try not to get tied up in the outcome and really focus on the process, but when someone you really respect steps in and says, hey, this is pretty dope, it does make you feel pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it must be an enormous personal satisfaction. That's a really great story.
I mean, really, that's all you're trying to do, right? Is make music that connects with people. And so to be able to do that with someone who, I mean, you got to think, I mean, how many songs is he listening to or choosing from, or how, like, I mean, the fact that it would even sneak in there and then he would think to play it, I mean, that's pretty big. I mean, he's one of the best DJs in the world. And for them to say, well, this is the music that I want to represent my brand self and brand with is a pretty cool little thing to say that happened. So
definitely. And I mean, So you released, we mentioned, we touched on it a bit before, you released on some pretty major labels yourself now, like Lapsus Music, Godiva, Natura Viva, Cube Tracks as well.
Mhm.
That's just to name a few. I mean, how do you choose what labels to release on? Do you have?
Yeah, it's kind of a tricky thing because so when I make music, when I sit down and I go to write a song, this is like the last thing on my mind. I'm not thinking about that at all. I kind of have a couple criteria when I'm trying to make music. Number one, it has to be something that is like resonating with me, like I'm like really feeling it. And then number two, I try to make sure that it's functional so that like it mixes well with other songs, it fits in the vibe of the sets that I'm playing and that kind of stuff. And if it can tick those boxes, then I go, okay, this is a cool track. But that still encompasses, a range of sounds because some of the stuff that I make might be, have some bigger synth sounds. Some of it might be more minimal or deep. And so I don't really start thinking about like what label stuff is going to go to until it's already done.
Okay.
And then when it's done, I go, okay, well, where does this fit? And that's always a tricky thing, right? Because it's not like you go, oh, okay, well, I want to release on X label, so I'm going to make a song that sounds like all the other tracks on X label. So you already know going into it, you're like, well, this is just right in the vein of what they want, right? So, and that's always been a problem with, well, not a problem, but it's been something that happens with my music a lot. Is you just it fits somewhere in between two places or whatever. So finding the right label, I think for me is the biggest challenge with the music. And I think it's also one of the reasons why I wanted to start my own label because, there's tons of great music out there that just doesn't necessarily fit in specifically with one of these major brands or whatever, but it's still awesome music that should be out there and shared with people. And just like finding records and sharing them on the decks, it's the same thing. Finding people's demos and being able to share them with the world via the label is the same way. And knowing that there's a niche there that I know that is kind of like, a little unoccupied or whatever in terms of wherever the music sits. So that's it's hard. Honestly, finding the right labels for if you approach making music like that, if you don't think about that before you make the music, I do think that most producers that do that, which I find to be most of the best producers, honestly, they always struggle with that, trying to figure out, oh, where does this fit exactly? And soliciting outside opinions helps. Sometimes people will say, oh, I think you should send it to that person, but you in your head, you just think, oh, that would never fit there, but it actually does. And that's part of the difficulty too, I think, is getting out of your own head about what it is that you've done.
Mm, interesting. Yeah. And we'll touch on your own label later as well. I'm super interested in that. But going back briefly, I mean, so you say that, yeah, you don't produce for labels specifically and you kind of just do something that feels right in the moment, I suppose. And I mean,
Correct.
but your sounds do have something quite unique about them. It's sort of dark and groovy and quite signature, I think. And I mean, I'm interested in what is unique about, like, what do you think makes your production method special, or maybe either from a technical perspective or maybe just your creative inspirations. I mean, do you think there's something that is unique?
Well, first of all, I have to say thank you because honestly, for me personally, I feel like that's one of the highest compliments that you can pay to an artist is that they have a very sort of like signature, unique sound or whatever. So thank you. Um, like I said, I don't really think about it too much. I will say that in general, I've always sort of found myself to be like I like bigger sounds than a lot of underground producers make, but I like more underground sounds than a lot of bigger producers make. So that's the thing. Like it might have a big kind of like bass line or something, but it's still kind of like more underground. That's just been always the type of music that I've gravitated towards. So that's kind of what I think about when I'm making music. Um, Percussion is I think is really important. I do like to have a lot of like groovy percussion, and kind of rolling bass lines. I don't know, I just kind of think about what is it that I would play. And I mean, I don't know, I guess if you sit down and you're really not focused on making music for a specific label, it really, I guess, becomes a more personal thing where it really is just sort of like your vibe or whatever it is that you're putting out. And I think that's pretty cool that you can kind of make a range of music and that someone could look at it and say, oh wow, that all, oh, that does sound like you, or that, because sometimes I don't think that. Sometimes I might make something and I go, oh wow, that sounds pretty electro for me. I don't know if any labels are gonna like that or whatever. But then someone comes around and says, wow, that's really good. It sounds just like you. I go, really? Okay. I don't know. It's not a conscious thought, so it might be kind of hard to articulate. Um, but yeah, I mean, for me, I always start with drums and bass. That's it. Because and most of my tracks, I do like to have at least one part of it where it literally just comes down to that kick and that bass line. And I want to make sure that if for some reason the arrangement of the track does happen to go that way where that ends up being part of the track, that can stand alone. You could sit in the club and you could listen to that kick drum and that bass line, and that would be enough for a minute that it would be like, oh yeah, this is good, and then the rest can kind of like
Mhm.
dress it up a little bit.
Okay, that was actually very what I was looking for. So
Okay, cool. Awesome.
yeah, very detailed. That was
All
great.
right.
And yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people, and I understand this, don't want to be boxed into genres, but I mean, would you identify your music with the label of kind of tech house yourself? And
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'll be honest with you, I don't really give too much thought to genres. It's a business thing, right? Like
Mhm.
it's how to sell music. It's not how to make music, right? It says, oh well, if you like A, you might like B, or if you like this, then you might like that. I mean, like I said, most of the producers that I know that make really great music don't ever sit down and go, I really need to make a deep melodic track in the key of this, that, like I don't know. I mean, I know that some people do produce like that.
Mm.
Um, Not a lot of people that I really get on with in terms of uh their style of music or whatever. But yeah, it's not something I really think about. So it's something that happens after the fact, right?
Yeah.
And so to me, I don't really necessarily care what genre people want to put it in. And genres are changing all the time. What is this genre now? 8 years ago was called something else, right? So,
Mm.
but tech house, yes. I mean, that's kind of I feel like tech house kind of gets a bad rap because it's the catch-all bin for everything that's not house or techno, which
Yeah.
encompasses a wide range of stuff and sometimes not awesome stuff too. So, um,
I mean, actually, that's exactly where I was going because I actually read a while ago a defense of yours, a kind of defense of tech house, kind of against the criticism that it does get, and that really did resonate with me because I understand your point in that it kind of takes all that criticism that isn't directed elsewhere. So I thought that was really interesting.
it's funny to me. I mean, genre police are funny to me, or whatever. Just the idea that look, every genre of music, whether it's dance or any other thing, has all those problems that people talk about with tech house. They are in every other genre, and whether you want to admit it or not, it's there. And so tech house happens to be very popular right now, and it's a very, like I said, because I feel like because it's a catch-all band, it gets this, it's a wide range of music. It's a lot of music, right? So, and it's real easy to shine the light on some of the flaws with things in something that has such a huge scope, right? So, um, but like I said, I mean, some of those issues that people talk about with tech house, it's the same. It's the same in every genre, I think. Just
Yeah,
my opinion, anyway.
definitely. Interesting. And so moving actually on to your own label, speaking of production,
Yeah.
Undone Records. So
Hmm.
you kind of mentioned your motivations for founding it a little bit. And I guess in terms of rethinking the relationship between kind of artists and labels, yeah, do you want to elaborate on that? I mean, what was your vision
Uh,
for
yeah,
the
I have a lot to say about that. No,
label?
well, I mean, I think the idea is so as I mentioned, the release that I had with Stereo was that was really the first label that I released on where the label had like a plan. Like there was a promo servicing, and we were going to do this thing and that thing, and we have, you know, little music videos for you to share on your socials, and you know what I mean. And I was just sort of like, oh yeah, this is how you are supposed to do it. I felt like some of the labels that I was signing to were happy to have the track and put it out, but that's about as far as they went with it. They didn't want to spend any money on a DJ promo. They didn't want to like put a lot of effort into it. And the tracks didn't do anything. I mean, big surprise. I mean, there's a lot of music out there. So if you want to stand out, you got to do something in order to get people to pay attention to the music. So what I did is I started going out and investing some of those things on my own, which was stuff like that, like DJ servicing, PR, all these things that, make my own little music videos and like all that kind of stuff. And at some point I started scratching my head and talking about with some other people and saying like, why am I doing this for other people? Like, why am I giving away 50% of the track to go out and do all the work? And then maybe this label might account to me properly or not at the end of everything, most likely not. And I'm out here doing all the work and they're reaping the benefits of it. So why not sort of have a rethink on this and say, if I'm going to sign tracks to other labels, let's make sure that I'm signing tracks to labels that are going to be just as invested in the release as I am. And if not, why not do this on my own? Let's not give away the 50%. Let's do it on my own. I'm going to spend all that money anyway and do whatever and put all that effort in. So let's reap the rewards of that instead of just giving it away to somebody for nothing. And I do try to really keep that front of mind when I'm signing to labels and make sure that they're, I mean, if you're going to give away half of something that you made to somebody, let's at least hold them accountable to make sure that they're doing everything on their end to maximize the amount of whatever can be achieved with that particular creation, So that was sort of like the inspiration behind it. I also have a motivation as well with younger artists and new people to the scene to be able to help get them set up properly. I know last year a couple of releases we did were artists, it was their very first release ever, right? So I want to make sure that they are set up with the performing rights society, make sure they're set up with the sound exchange. These things seem like really small things when you're starting out, but as the years and years go on and the catalog gets bigger and bigger, it's so much more difficult to go back and rewrite all that 10 years later and get it all squared away than just start from the beginning and get it right. And even though it might be pennies now, pennies turns into tens of dollars, turn into hundreds of dollars later. And you might be making money on something that you did 10 years ago, which is key because I mean, music is so up and down. You might have a hot release one week, but maybe not again for a while. And so that type of thing in order to, I think is really important. And being able to teach young artists about all that stuff, number one, so that they're set up properly. Number two, so they're not taking advantage of other people in the industry by other people in the industry. And, I just think that that's really important. There's a lot of illiteracy that goes on around things like copyright and all that kind of stuff, which is really important. I feel like to get people on the right page as far as that's concerned with new artists,
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're kind of focused on putting the artist first in a way, which is really
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I can't get excited about the release, then like who's gonna get you know what I'm saying? Like why it just seems silly to me that a label would want to put something out and then not really care about it at all. So these tracks that I'm getting, I want to put them out for a reason. I play them in my sets. I like them. Like that's it. I mean, whether you're an artist that sells hundreds of copies on every release or whether you just come out the box and you're only going to sell 2 copies or whatever, it doesn't matter to me, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build this brand and have this music. And so when people hear it, they go, oh, wow, yeah, that sounds like you said, sounds like an unlearned track, sounds like a Doc Brown track, sounds like whatever. Yeah, I want people to walk away from the experience with the label and say, wow, that was a really good experience. I would want to sign music to them again, which may or may not be the case with people with some labels. So
well, it's funny you mentioned that because I did notice a few recurring names on your label itself, like Horatio, Lizzie Curious, maybe.
Yeah, Lizzie's great. We just actually spent some time last weekend on Groove Cruise. But yeah, that's the thing. You want people to come back. You want people to say, oh, I have a track that I thought fit your sound. Here it is, right? And not walk away from the experience and go, oh man, I would never sign a track to that label again. Because I've had both types of experiences, right? I mean, with enough time, you're going to have both types of experiences. So I just really want to focus on making that experience enjoyable for the artist. And it's just something I think labels need to have a think about. With the amount of volume of music that it's out there, it's just not good enough anymore to just throw something at the wall and hope it sticks, right? You got to have a plan, you got to be invested in it. And if you don't think that track is worth making that investment in, why are you putting it on your label?
Definitely.
you know, I mean, that's just my thought on that.
Mm. And how, I mean, you've kind of touched on this just talking about this now, but I mean, I'm quite curious about how you kind of choose the artists for your label. I mean, like even like how it came about, for example, with Lizzie, who you just mentioned,
Mhm.
who is from the UK as well, I believe.
Yes, she is. And she plays a brand of house that is much more housey and disco inspired than what it is that I do.
Mhm.
Actually, that track was an idea of hers. We were doing Twitch streams over the pandemic, and she said, "Hey, let's work on a track together." And I said, "Okay, why not?" You know, I mean, I'm down to try anything. So it was an interesting way for me because she had sent me the piano and the vocal, and then I kind of my challenge with that was like, okay, well, how am I going to take these sort of very housey elements and turn it into something that I would play in my set? And it was something I really thought a lot about, but I was actually listening to a lot of like Glasgow Underground records, like kind of disco-y type stuff. And I realized that I was like, and I mean, you know it, but it really became clear to me. It's like, oh, well, there's two kinds of disco. There's the bouncy disco, and then there's the driving disco. And can we do something that's like a little bit more driving disco to really congeal those two kind of styles together? So yeah, when it comes to artists, some of them are people that I've known for a really long time, like Lizzie I've known for a really long time. MC Flipside I've known for a really long time. Some of them are artists that have reached out to work with me, like Horatio had worked out to work with me, and then we continued working on other projects. So this one included him doing a remix for the label. Vanilla Ace, a similar thing, where I had some music signed to his label, brought him on for a remix on the label. Other ones are just demos. I mean, some people I've never known before in my life. Random pop out of the blue in the demo email, and the track is banging, and it's just like, yeah, of course, I want to play this right now. Like, yeah, let's put it out. You know what I mean? So it's really a wide encompassing range of how the music gets to me. But I do think it's really cool, especially now that I have more and more artists on the label, that those same artists are coming back and saying, I want to do another release with you. Here's a track. I think it fits your sound. Can we do another one? And so that's pretty cool. Pretty cool for me and for the label. So
Yeah, that's great. I mean, if you kind of I guess actually I'm quite interested in as well, sort of more broadly considering, because we were talking about obviously Lizzie, who is a UK based artist, and you said that during the pandemic you were perhaps streaming together, we saying, is that the
yeah, well, so we were both streaming
uh-huh.
on Twitch over the pandemic, and a lot of I think maybe because of the Groove Cruise, because we had both been on so many of them, but we shared a lot of fans. Like a lot of the fans that were in her channel watching her streams were also in my channel watching my streams, which is interesting because the music is different, but there was a lot of crossover there, and we would see the same people in the channels and that kind of stuff, and we sort of were, and the song was literally born on streaming. I mean, I'd work out a version, kind of see how people react to it, how it worked for me, go back, retool this a little bit, change that. She'd play it in her stream, come back with some feedback on that, and then eventually, and then by the time it comes out, all those people that are watching the stream are like, "Oh yeah, this is
Yeah.
whatever." There's a built-in support there underneath everything, which was really really cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was getting to with this question. I mean, I realized, I noticed that you got very stuck in with kind of, you kind of embraced the changes that occurred during the pandemic. You were very engaging with your online community. And I guess the broader question is kind of how you feel the pandemic changed your career, or generally the careers of producers and DJs in your sector. Like, do you feel that it's something that is long lasting?
Yeah. So I think the biggest eye-opening thing for me is something we've talked about in the music industry for a really long time, which is direct monetization, which is the idea that um, if you create a piece of art and you sign it to a label, and then the label gives it to the distributor, and then the label puts it in the shops, and then the shops do whatever, and then they account back to the distributor, who accounts back to the label, who accounts back to you. It's a very long cycle to go around. I'm about to get into doing my royalty reports for the artists for this past 6-month period. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, they're getting paid out on stuff that was like 9 months ago from the distributor. You know what I mean? This is crazy. So in that kind of ecosystem, for a long time, people have been talking about direct monetization, Patreon, sites like that, where if you support an artist, you can act like there's something about the fan when they go and they do something like that, they really feel like they're directly supporting the artist, as opposed to the other way. Like I don't like they don't really feel necessarily like they're giving direct support to an artist when they hit play on Spotify on a track. But if they buy a piece of merch, or if they, are a Patreon subscriber, or, there's a GoFundMe for a Kickstarter for, they need to, you're gonna make a new album for a band or whatever, people feel really engaged, and they want to do that. They want to do that for the artists that they care about. And Twitch really opened my eyes as to, I always kind of gave it a little bit of lip service. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, people will give you money. Okay, sure. And then it turns out that it is actually true. And a Twitch subscription is a perfect example of that. The people, donations, whatever, they're not giving you money for anything. They're giving you money because they like you and they want you to keep doing what it is that you're doing because it gives them joy. And that really sort of like made that very real for me. Right. And I do think that that is a huge future avenue for musicians and artists in general, being able to directly monetize their fans instead of having to participate in a system that might be somewhat exploitative or whatever, and not give away so much of what it is that you've created, without having that direct return on it. We'll see how it all works out. I mean, I think technology is moving that way, blockchain technology, all that kind of stuff. A lot of these problems that we've been having with digital art, I think are slowly going to resolve themselves. So hopefully quicker than slow, but over the next 5 to 10 years. And that's really exciting if you're a young artist in the music industry, because the idea that digital content could just get ripped off, and it makes it a lot more difficult to think about, okay, well, how am I going to actually find my way in this industry if I can't make any money writing a song, right? But there's other ways to go about doing that, and I do think that those tools are going to pop up. I think Twitch was key for me in really opening my eyes in that aspect of everything. So
definitely, I think it was a really empowering time for a lot of people. And I think it's very true what you're saying, especially about people wanting to feel connected to the artist, and especially at a moment when what we really needed was connection. So I think that was really great. I mean, I know I benefited from, I loved watching live streams, during the pandemic. It was great. So
it builds a whole community. I mean, it's crazy. I have a Discord, and these people just hang out and just chat in there all day, and like it's really community building in a way. I felt Twitch was community building in a way that a lot of other social media platforms weren't. Like I felt like a lot of other social media platforms viewed you as the product that we can make money on, and Twitch empowered the artist like, you are a product that we can make money on, that you can make money on, and we can make money on. So and they give you all the tools to help accelerate fan growth and community building, and I mean, just simple silly little stuff that they're doing that other social media sites weren't necessarily doing when it comes to building an audience and engaging fans and stuff. So that was really cool for me to see that with Twitch. And it also helps, give you ideas on how to engage fans and on other platforms as well. So yeah, it was really cool. Their toolkit is amazing for creators. I got to say, I was very impressed.
great, fantastic. And I guess moving on to the return of live events, which I'm sure you missed despite having such a good experience with streaming services. So I mean, I know that you regularly play some major events that we mentioned in our introduction. Actually, according to my calendar, you just got back from Groove Cruise.
Got back from Groove Cruise last week, and actually my voice is still a little, it's not all the way back. That is one thing that is a lot different about playing at a real festival or something like that, as opposed to inside your bedroom, is it's a lot louder. Talking over it is it's does something to the voice. Yeah, just got back off Groove Cruise. Like I said, that was a very early contest that I had won, and had really got me into playing more major events, and I've been playing events with them a lot over the years, and the Groove Cruise community has been amazing in terms of support of both me and the label. I had my first label party ever on board. It's a wild experience for sure. I mean, 96 straight hours of music doesn't stop. it's a lot to tackle.
Yeah, I mean, so that's actually kind of where I'm going with this. I mean, I actually, something I'm quite interested in is sort of the differences between festivals or venues in the US and where I am. So, I mean, I'm based in London. I lived in
Okay.
Berlin for a bit, but basically, like the European kind of market for it. I've never been to the US ever. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Like, what do you think? Do you think there are some major differences in terms of just generally the dance music scene, but, any festivals you might have been to or
Well, I would say I think culturally it is definitely more ingrained in the Europeans than it is in the United States. I mean, you can go to almost any city or town in Europe and find a discotheque where they're going to be playing some kind of dance music, maybe underground dance music in the later evening, whatever. It's not necessarily like that here in the United States. I mean, you do have cities that have great scenes. I mean, Miami, Chicago, New York, LA, San Francisco, Seattle's got a good scene. But there are certain places in the United States where if you live, you don't, that's not an option for you. Like this, there isn't a venue there that does it. And things here are more spread apart. So where you live, if there isn't a venue or a thing, it's not like you can just like get in the car and go 30 minutes or an hour. I mean, if you might have to drive 3 or 4 hours to go to Chicago to see your favorite DJ or whatever. So I do think that is a pretty big difference, which kind of ingrains itself just in the everyday culture of everything, right? Which then does also make going to these types of events more of an event, right? It's a big thing. Like, I mean, when I go play at EDC Orlando, we drove. I mean, I'm here from Miami, drive up 3.5 hours. It's a big thing. It's hundreds, thousands of people, 3 days, whatever. This is a lot different than just like going to your local club or pub on a night where they have a DJ to go see them play, right? So, I do think things are big. I think people kind of like that about it. Make everything into a really big experience. And I am very lucky that I live in Miami because I could literally go out any night of the week that I want to and see somebody. So I do consider myself blessed in that aspect for sure.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's something that it's really hard for me to fathom that difference. But I like how you kind of highlighted the positive of it. I mean, it's definitely a bigger event if it's something that you have less of, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, people plan their whole years around this. Like, okay, I'm going to go to this festival and that festival, or I'm going to go on this trip to this particular city because there's something going on that weekend where there's 2 or 3 nights where I might go see something. And I think that's really cool. I mean, to be honest with you, the more people that are into it and the more people that are going to events, the better it is for everybody. So,
Yeah.
and I do think that the more that happens, you're starting to see things pop up like Des Moines, Iowa. You would never see the biggest DJs in the world going there 10, 15 years ago, but now there's a group of people there that are throwing parties, and that's the kind of thing that I think you're starting to see in the United States a little bit more. Starting to see some nights and some parties in some places that you would not expect that would be there, but that's because the scene's there to support it, and they have someone there that's really passionate about throwing those parties, and they make it work, right? Just like any DJ or producer or musician, you're passionate about something, you find a way to make it work, right? So that's the story.
That's nice. Yeah, yeah. We're definitely seeing a renaissance here as well, post-pandemic, I would say. And actually, before we move on to a fun speed round,
Okay.
what are your plans for 2022 for your label, for your in production, playing?
Yeah, well, so for me coming up personally, in I think on February 18th will be my next release on Ferris Wheel, which is Gene Ferris's label. Got to play on his party on the Groove Cruise, was awesome. He played like an 8 hour marathon set. It was
Wow.
awesome. I love his music so much. And so that'll be coming up in 2 weeks. It's called Super You. It'll be out on Ferris Wheel. And then I have another EP the following month coming out with on Wildcard, which is Vanilla Ace's label. And then for my label in particular, I have a collab that I've just done with Jerome Robbins, got a Mike Ivy and Craig Leo remix that's out in the cycle right now. And coming up, I've got some music also from some newer artists. Buds out of Tampa, gonna have a remix from Rachie P in LA. Got a Cuban American artist, female artist, Nicole Fialo out of New York, going to be doing a 2-track EP with her. Some more stuff from another new artist named Brio. So continuing to have new artists and new music come out on the label. also, this is the year where there's going to be start to be label parties, gearing up for Winter Music Conference, looking to do a party there, and then taking the Unlearned brand hopefully to some other cities and doing some parties there. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, is expanding on the music and the releases and kind of moving more into doing some events, which is honestly really exciting. I mean, it is exciting to be getting back to these live events. I can't lie. It's nice to see people in person, and you know, it was very cool, and it still is very cool to have these communities on Twitch, and it is awesome, and I love it. But it's something about just being able to give someone a hug, you know what I mean, that hits a little bit different. So yeah, and the sound systems.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say how much I missed being on the dance floor. That's been one of the best things to
It's cool. I mean, it was really emotional for me, honestly, playing EDC Orlando back in November, because it was the first really sort of big event that I had done. And there's so many people in this industry that are not the DJ, right? Like that are your friends. You see them every year. You know, the stage guys, the people who run sound, and the people who run lights, and the people who promoters, and all these people, right? It's a whole subculture that exists around this music, and I feel like a lot of times the focus might get put on the one person who's up there playing the music, but it literally takes what do they say, it takes a village or something. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people behind the scenes who do this stuff for a living because it's their passion, and put these events on that aren't necessarily in the spotlight, and getting to see those people in particular was really cool, and back in their element, and just everything, kind of being good again. It was really cool, honestly. Kind of a little emotional, to be honest.
Definitely. Um, okay, so let's move on to this little speed round before we finish.
All right, let's go.
It's meant to be a bit of fun, so just say whatever comes to your mind.
Okay.
So let's start with a serious one. One track that was particularly influential in your career. Someone else's.
Daft Punk, Defunk. Yeah, I used to watch in college. It was what we used to watch a show called MTV Amp, and they would play all these videos from like the Prodigy and the Crystal Method and Chemical Brothers, and there's that video with the dog. It just really, I went out, I bought homework, it was all over after that. Yeah, Defunk, wow. Daft Punk.
Yeah. Okay. Who would be your ideal back-to-back partner?
Ooh, a B2B partner. I have a friend. I got to be honest with you. My favorite B2Bs. I got a friend here in the Miami area named Ollie Sanders. He's got a label called Twisted Funk, and every time we go to B2B, it is really a lot of fun. We actually have a joke. We call it. It's not B2B. It's side to side.
That's good.
and those, honestly, they're the most fun B2Bs I have, because we've just known each other for a long time. It's fun to play with your friends like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And okay. If you could invite anyone in the world to dinner, who would it be? To a dinner party?
A dinner party. That's a tough one. I would want to pick someone who is really good at food. So maybe one of those guys from the Food Network or something. I love really good food, and just like music, right? Like I love go see a real good DJ turn you on to like really good music. I like someone who's an expert in something to really turn you on to like the really good stuff. So somebody who could turn me on to some really good food. So probably, yeah, someone like a Food Network star or something like that. Probably.
Great answer. I'm Italian, so we really value our food.
Oh yeah, my girlfriend is Italian too.
Yeah. Good food.
Oh yeah.
The best. Okay, the wildest party you've ever attended or festival?
I mean, it's got to be Groove Cruise, hands down. Wildest party I've ever attended. It's insane. I mean, I would recommend anybody go on the trip, because it's like Halloween meets rave meets never stopping music. I mean, a lot of festivals you go to, it's from this time to this time. People take a night off or they go to an after party, and this is just pick the time where you want to nap, because it's important.
Great. And okay, let's do some would you rathers to finish.
Oh boy. Okay.
So start with some easy ones. Vegas or Ibiza?
Ibiza all the way.
Okay. Start a new project or tie up loose ends?
Ooh, that's a tough one for me because I always focus on tying up loose ends, but starting the project is where the fun is. So I mean, I would opt to start for new projects. I find I spend my time tying up loose ends more. My preference would be to start a new project.
I like this question always gets producers because it's the ultimate kind of.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
um, so okay, a tea or coffee?
I'm a coffee guy.
Okay. A date at a museum or an amusement park?
Oh, amusement park, roller coasters, huge fan.
Okay.
The bigger the better. I love roller coasters.
Or an extravagant meal or an extravagant night out?
Mm, I would go with the extravagant night out. I mean, I do like a good meal, that feeling when you walk out of a restaurant where you're just like pure bliss. But being in the music industry, a crazy night out is always a good time.
Definitely. Okay, I mean, that was fantastic. It was a real pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much
I
for
really appreciate everything that you're doing over there. I mean, I've been tracking you guys for a while, and it seems like you have some really great people on board with everything that you're doing. So I
yeah,
really appreciate you having me.
it's been a real like passion project for everyone. So yeah,
It's
thanks.
awesome. You got a good team together.
Yeah. I mean, thanks for contributing to it, to our vision.
Oh,
And
thanks for having me.
I
Appreciate it.
mean, maybe one day I'll pop over to the US and
You
check out
should
your
come
place.
over in March. Come over in
Yeah,
March, Winter Music Conference. Yeah. Or I guess it's not that. Well, it is. They're actually bringing it back. Miami Music Week, Winter Music Conference. Either way, Miami in March. That's the place to be.
Miami in March. It's on the calendar.
All right.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you so much. And yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Bye.
I'll see you soon.
Okay.